If you listen to the show, you already know that we cannot exist without our sponsors. They are the ones who make things happen behind the scenes. So let's acknowledge Fuji Sports. We've been working with these guys for a while now, not only as far as this podcast is concerned, but also at the RŌL Academy. We've had their gear. I personally use their gis. What a phenomenal product.
Yeah, I mean, jiu-jitsu, judo, MMA, tape, bags, anything you need for your jiu-jitsu journey, you can find at fujisports.com.
Let's talk RŌL TV. There's so much content on there. It's ridiculous at this point. But I think what is even more intriguing, as time went on during the project, we've been recording most of the events that were taking place here at RŌL Academy. At this point, I mean, we have guys like Chris Howder, Armin Fati, Rafael Lovato Sr., and Pete the Greek. I mean, there are so many different events that we've kind of recorded it. Don't you think that's amazing? I mean, points of reflection and kind of going back for all the students to see what really happened and refresh their memory.
Yeah, I think it's great, you know, being able to go back and look at all these high-level practitioners, Octavio Cudo, like one of the names you didn't mention. And I mean, just these guys that have been doing this for so long come in, teach these amazing seminars and workshops, and it's all recorded and there for you to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to get additional savings on all this, type in code RŌL Radio at the coupon and get additional 30% off of your membership.
Nice. Go to rolacademy.tv. What's up, everyone, and welcome back. If you haven't already, please remember to hit the like, share, subscribe, download, listen, and whatever other button there is, and leave us a review wherever you do listen. That ensures that we can continue bringing you the great guests and amazing content that you've come to expect. As both a member and co-founder of some of the biggest and most respected jiu-jitsu teams in the world, today's guest is one of the most influential people in jiu-jitsu. Today, Leo Vieira joins us to discuss what makes a great team and a great community, the importance of balance, being present, and a ton more. Here is the RŌL Radio with multi-time world champion, co-founder of Brasa Club de Jiu-Jitsu and Checkmat, and coach to some of the biggest names in jiu-jitsu history, Leo Vieira.
Welcome to RŌL Radio.
And we are live.
Go.
Man, it's cold.
It's not that bad. I mean, it's chilly back here, but it's not terrible.
It's cold. It's very.
It's the coldest day of the year so far. But
It's cold. I just came from Florida. It's cold.
oh, that's
It's cold. And then we have Professor Leo Vieira. And it's what's the temperature by you? Let's just start with that.
It's cold if you think as a Brazilian, it's cold. No, but actually it's pretty good weather here in California. We by the sea, Long Beach, and yeah, like it's been good day, sunny day. All we, like one hoodie, it's enough for the whole day. Maybe
That's one hoodie's enough for me too.
It's like 20 degrees Fahrenheit here. It's cold. It's cold. It's like it snowed yesterday. It's bad.
I'm glad that we're doing this. Sometimes we can do this online.
That's right. Well, welcome to the show. Thanks for hanging out with us. We've tried doing this before, and you were sick, and things didn't work out. And I'm glad that we brought you back in. What a rich history. As I was starting jiu-jitsu and as I was going through my jiu-jitsu journey, you were one of the names that popped up very frequently. You were a very active competitor and a huge leader. You established quite a bit, in your jiu-jitsu career. Do you feel like that you are a pioneer? Do you feel like you are have done a lot for what we see today as a jiu-jitsu?
I know that I have been doing this for a longer time, but at the same time, I know that it's like a team that building everything. So I never see myself like this way. I always try to. I'm very present, so I'm more concerned about what can I do right now to build what I want to. So, and like sometimes there is some flashback that I look back in the time and see what we have been done. But like most of my time, 99% of my time, I'm very present about like what can you do right now, and focus in what we can do. Yeah, but I of course, like I really bless it and appreciate so much, which and I know how to celebrate things that we have been done, and yeah, but I don't look back with pride or anything, but more just okay, so that's the history. That's what it keep that to make sure that what motivates us to moving forward, it's the right thing to do.
And wow, there's a phenomenal view on life. It's such a humble approach to all of this. But we have to agree with the fact that you've accomplished quite a bit. I mean, like building the team that you have built from a competition perspective. I mean, you one of the guys who was out there. I mean, the name Vieira was popping up everywhere.
Yeah.
Especially in a competitions perspective. I mean, right?
No, I agree. I think just the things like back in my time, we don't have that perspective that people have today. Now, as a kid, you can see how jiu-jitsu can take you far away. You can have a career plan since you was a kid, and as you starting the sport already, like expecting something, and with a whole life plan in the sport. Back in my time was like that. So I was training jiu-jitsu. I was just like we don't really know what's going to happen next year, because the sport wasn't popular. The sport was not like giving the perspective that people financial independence, like a prosperity that people have today. So back in my time was more like let's leave the momentum, and not like the expectation was less. So we was like blessed that the sport became popular and opened different opportunities to people performance as athletes, as professor, as a brands. So there are huge community, there are ecosystem that's surviving from jiu-jitsu. But before it wasn't like that. So I think that's the thing that was a different thinking when I was a kid or nowadays. Yeah, but I really feel like proud to see all this change, and share with the new generation like my thoughts and my experience that I had before.
Do you think that jiu-jitsu was easier back then from a perspective of all these complexities and all these the fact that there was no career behind it? It was just kind of jiu-jitsu. There was not more, and today is so busy. There's so much going on. What do you think
Yeah,
about all this?
yeah, that's a very philosophical question that sometimes I reflect so much. Is jiu-jitsu easy now, or jiu-jitsu was easy before? Because before, back in my time, it's like you have no option. It's like or you're gonna be good in this, or you quit. So
Yeah.
you don't have a plan B. You have to go through. You have to make through this. Today you have options. Even talking about jiu-jitsu, like before, the only way you can be successful as a jiu-jitsu professor if you become a very good a competitor. But nowadays, you don't have to compete to become a good professor. You don't have to. Your students don't have to compete for you have a successful school. So there are people selling jujitsu through internet. And so there is a huge a world that martial arts open, which is before was impossible. So when you compare what's easy, what is hard, I think it's just like a mental thinking that you put yourself. So for me, I'm sorry. For me, when I have options, sometimes it's more hard for you choose, because you have a lot of options. So sometimes
Yeah.
it's more hard, because now you have a lot of options. When you don't have, it's hard to yourself, because you have to make through this. So that's only one way. But we have a lot of options, so maybe you can get confused. And when you're frustrated in one direction, you can go to another direction. So I think it's depending how people wants to think. That's really like what's because in the both ways you're gonna be facing the same thing. You're gonna face yourself. You're gonna face our fears. You're gonna face our limitation, and belongs to you. With a right guidance for you be going through overcoming any circumstance.
You mentioned learning online and having all these opportunities to learn jiu-jitsu today, which none of them existed when you were starting, right? I mean, video didn't exist, maybe books, but mostly it was just at the academy, right? With your team. There was nothing else, right?
Yeah, I think one huge difference is like before. I think the goals was more about like be respect. People wants to be respect as a the jiu-jitsu they have. So people was not like people wants to show how, make it proud his team, make it proud his club. They wants to make they don't want to embarrass his team. They don't want to embarrass his club. I think nowadays people fight more for themselves. They're more concerned about his ego, like, oh, how am I performance? How am I doing? So how can I do to myself? I'll be changing teams. I'll be changing this, looking to best for me, which is I understand. But like before it was more people was more concerned about performance, like with like
Mm-hmm.
uh push the jiu-jitsu through like a looking more fights for submissions and make the fight and make the team proud. Then today I see more people more worried to scare and to lose because they want to more. It's a different uh, generation. They're more concerned about be popular on internet and monetize from this, than performance on the mat and be recognized from this.
Why do you think that happens? Do you think that that's the result of jiu-jitsu growing and being more popular and having the opportunity to make money, or something else?
I think it's everybody's fault. Uh, I think the media has a very huge impact because when the media understand that like maybe talk trash sell more than performance,
Hmm.
if you push for this direction, we're gonna have people talking more than competing more. So like it's the way that they find the balance, like because in the end of the day, everybody wants to be in the media, so
Yeah.
if the media has the power to guide like the what's the next generation will be performance. So everybody wants to be in the on have the followers. Everybody wants to be in the media. So if a media give more spots for those that talk more than result, so people are gonna be natural. People are gonna be talking more than compete. If the media show more, give more prestige for those that performance more and give
Yeah.
those guys voice, give those guys like popularity, then people is going to understand they have to fight better and more than talk less.
I mean, you bring up a good point. Like we talked to Draculino and we talked to Janji Ribeiro, and but all of them said there was not much talk outside of the academy. What was happening is you got to the competition, and that was the moment where you proved yourself. This was the moment where you really could show who is better, who is not. But the
Back in the
quote
time,
unquote, say again.
you mean that
Yeah, back in the time. Yeah, 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 yeah. Like the trash talking didn't exist as much versus today. It's a lot of everybody talks and it's very different. Well, I guess the entertainment part. I don't know. You tell me. Like, what's the difference between then and now?
I think before honestly, like of course, like before we don't have the internet. You don't have there's the
Yeah.
media. You have to wait for every 2 months for like to be in the newspaper. So it's just that we have a magazines that every 3 months that are going to be releasing. So you have to wait for that long to be in the newspaper. So we don't have the social media, which is be like daily, consistently, like actually like a minute, hours consistently is a news. So the thing is like we don't have this before. So we don't have to be worrying about anything on this. But I think today, because we have the social media that everybody can have their own like statement, but also we have the social media that spread what the social medias, what the news can spread. I think uh, they understand like the entertainment sells. Yes, the entertainment sells, and you have to use the momentum to make people talk. It's just like a find the balance between the talk trash and the performance. So I think that's the direction that we have to be in the balance. So that's, I think, we didn't find yet. So we have a lot of people who perform us, but because jiu-jitsu came from such a respect to martial arts, and people wants to be respectful, beat up the other guy on the mat and not say anything, So that's that we thought it's giving that's what we should do. So we came with this kind of attitude. If you look back, all those guys, like science from back in my time, Amaury Bittet, to later on to Marcelo Garcia, Shaolin, and those guys, they're gonna be like tremendous performance in the competition, but they very quiet. They they're not talking that much, So the jiu-jitsu was building this way. So when in the US, and with the influence of the internet, pushes so much about making the sport be entertainment, which is, I agree with, I like it, but it just it's like every new toy that we play so much that you don't know how to use it. So we was using so much, and then we pushing a little bit so much for people that are talking them too much instead the performance that much. When we find the balance between sell very entertainment fight and teach them how to be confident and talk, without being respectful, but in the point sell martial arts, then you're gonna have a good a combination about talking and performance.
Do you think that's where jiu-jitsu is going?
I think that's we already doing this. If you look one championship, the one tournament that I'm working with, so they are truly martial arts. So if you compare UFC and one championship, you're gonna see exactly what I'm talking about between one company sell both sell entertainment, but one sell drama, which is they want to make the drama, the momentum to sell tickets. The other company, it sells stories. So they want to build heroes, sell stories to make the fight. So in the end, both start talking. So, but in one direction they're gonna be talking very disrespectful, but also because that's the way they push. In the other organization, they be very respectful, but but they still be very confident. They're gonna be calling people out. They're gonna be calling. They're gonna fight. They're gonna win. So they're very confident approaching and speaking instead they do respect. I think that's the jiu-jitsu has to learn about how to use the talk to sell tickets, to make the fight entertainment, to create these exciting for the day of the match, but also without being respect. And we don't have to be respect. You just have to show confidence. Say my jiu-jitsu is better than yours. Your jiu-jitsu sucks. I'm gonna beat you up, and that's it. And sell tickets. Come on.
That's simple, right? It's simple.
Do you think is there room for both?
And create the stories. Create the story. I believe in my jiu-jitsu, and but we don't really have to be disrespectful. We don't really have to be touching things that
Well, you bring up a really good point, because end of the day, jiu-jitsu is a martial art, and as martial artists, we should show certain signs of respect towards everybody around us and towards the art, right? Because when we engage with these unprofessional trash talking or conversations, it's end of the day, one, we're not respectful towards the other person, we're not respectful toward ourselves, but more importantly, we are not respectful towards the art, which this is why we are all here, right? This is what we love.
Yeah.
So it's always interesting to watch all of this unfold. But it is a consequence of jiu-jitsu growing so fast, because it is growing fast, doesn't it?
Yes. And you see every year is a record change, record being breaking. So and we're not talking just about one different organization, but all organization. ADCC breaking records uh, IBJF breaking records. So all the organizations, gi and no gi, the grappling industry is breaking records. A lot of new brands are being, a lot of new shows. So every show is a very high competitive. Everybody giving more professional for the athletes. I like every year is like, okay, that cannot be better than what you're living right now. And next year bump, like, okay, so it's still like a more good things coming. So it's great. It's great. Yeah, it's nice.
You talked about creating stories. You talked about telling the stories. I do want to reach a little bit back in the past and talked about your story. Do you remember your very first day stepping on the mat?
My first thing was very disappointed. My first thing was very disappointed. I was a kid, 10 years old, less than 10 years old. I say 10 because that's my first yellow card, my first like a federation card. But I was uh, I was 10 years old, and I jumped in. I went to the academy. I thought it was kung fu. I want to throw punches and kick. So
Don't
first
we all?
day was headlock. So I was pretty good in headlock. So I was headlock everybody, kind like very confident about my headlock. But then this girl, she was not just escaping from my headlock, but she also was like a armbar or choke me. And then I get mad because no boy with 10 years old want to get beat up by a girl. So I was very frustrated. I came back home. My parents asked if I like it. I say no, but I could not stop. She said, why? I could not say I got beat up by a girl. I just say, no, I want to come back. I want to try again. So for the whole week, I was expecting throw punches and kick. No punch, no kick. You know, then I find out that was not kung fu. So I was not doing what Bruce Lee was doing, and I was a big fan of Bruce Lee. So and also for after 1 week or 1 month, I don't remember that I beat that girl. She always gonna smash me on the mat. By the end of the day or the end of the month, I realized that okay, so if it works with her against me, it's gonna work with me against my friends. And I was the tall and the stronger from my group. I always was the short guy from my group friends. So and I knew at that point that jiu-jitsu could help me to fit in my group, in my friends.
As you were starting all of this, so obviously starting at 10 years old, you've been on the mat for a very, very long time. But as you going through the teenage years and you getting into the adult years, has it ever crossed your mind that this is what you're going to do for a living? Like, it has it crossed your mind that jiu-jitsu could be that big?
No, no, no. I think I was doing jiu-jitsu as a kid, like for my parents, just to. My father was like a guy who was working the whole time so much. He worked from 10 in the morning to 10 p.m. As a super in the building. So he's fixing, driving cars, so taking care of the building. So I was there, like like in my when I that like when it, for you understand like the job that my father have was working the building. So everybody else, like even myself, my education was to not replace my father, but work with my father. So also be cleaning buildings, cleaning cars, the same as he does. So that was my perspective as a kid. So I knew it at that point I'm gonna be like going to school, and I grew up going to public school, but no perspective to go to college or university. Was just like finish the high school and then start work. So that was the perspective. So when I start work with my father, that's when I realized that I could work with jiu-jitsu because my professor, Romero Jacare, he invited me. He said, hey, Leo, what are you doing? Because you're missing. I say, oh, I start working. I was 17 years old, kind of purple belt. And he said, but what are you doing? I say, I'm working for my father. He knows my father, what kind of job my father does. I say, oh, but you're too young to do that job. I want you. So how much they paying? So I say, oh, they pay me this amount per month. I say, no, I'll give you this month. I'll give you this money to a month, and then you work for me. You help me. You clean the academy. You manage the school. You teach class, and you help me. And that was my click. That's it. Oh my God, I can be a jiu-jitsu instructor. That was the first time that don't understand me wrong. I love my father. That he's the highest example that I have in my life as a humble, as an honest man. But his job was tough, you know. So do what he did was tough for the whole life. 35 years in the same job. So when I saw that I can live in Ipanema, you know, have the same lifestyle of my professor have, and ride the bike in the morning, go teach jiu-jitsu school, then go to the beach, ride bike back, then train jiu-jitsu at night. I said, that's the lifestyle I want, you know, because all my cousins, all my family, and I grew up in a very big family. You know, my mom, 20 sisters and brothers, my father, 11
Wow.
sisters and brothers. I have over 100 cousins. So all my family, everybody is a very country farm. You know, those that went to live in Rio, big city, they was living in the favelas. So I was the one blessed and lucky to live in the apartment, the building, because my father was working for them. So my father sacrificed himself, his life, 35 years in not when he make enough money. So he didn't come back to his hometown. So he stayed over there to give to their kids, which is me and my brothers, a different perspective and a different opportunity. Because all my uncles and my cousins, when they reach such a money, they could buy a piece of land, back to their country and work in the farm. They did, you know. And all my cousin was stuck in working with animals or farm or agro or plants, or you know. So I was the one, like because of my father and my mom, I was the one that stay in the city. I grew up in this system. I grew up in this environment, training jiu-jitsu. And then I realized, I say, oh, I can have the same lifestyle. So I can be a jiu-jitsu instructor, live in Rio de Janeiro, you know, and provide for myself, the same as my professor does, you know. And that was a very, like a small perspective was huge for me, you know.
How
But
was
then
how was the conversation with your dad? Hey,
with
Dad,
my father, my
I
father
want to
was,
work jujitsu.
you know, my father was a guy who never talked that much. So he was the guy who was teaching me everything by the way he lived his life, by example. So we had like maybe three conversation on my life, you know. So, or I saw he talking to my brothers, but he was a very like you know, Professor X from from
Hmm.
Marvels. Yeah, he was very like I understand everything by the way he lived their life. I never see he's doing nothing wrong. He was the, like I said, the perfect example so to copy. So like when people was a good example to copy, they don't have to tell them much, you know. So because you already know that you're wrong, make you feel bad. So when I have this conversation with my father, I say, Daddy, like you know, I have this opportunity. They're gonna pay me a much, and he was happy. He said, "Oh, that's actually like that's good because he know how tough his life is. He doesn't want the same thing for him, you know, for me. So that's and and because also was the oldest of my brother, my father and my mom always push me to give the example to my brothers. So they know what happened to me is gonna happen to my brothers. So they was pushing me hard on me because they know if I have the right direction, my brothers will follow. So that's the reason that we keep jiu-jitsu. So we all became a black belt working jiu-jitsu, and like when jiu-jitsu became popular, we was lucky that we started this for such a long time. Then we was blessed to have also a very good instructor was Jacaré. He was a very good, like a good example to have on the mat as a jiu-jitsu professor.
So at 17 years old, you start working at the academy. You are purple belt. I mean, this has to feel like $1,000,000. I mean, you're living a dream at this point, aren't you?
Yes, yes. Like, but again, like I was a kid. You should understand how kids' mentality is on when I grew up. So even when I was doing jiu-jitsu, I didn't know that I have a gold on my hands. I still want to be the same as my group of friends, 17 years old, go to the nightclub, date some girls, go to the beach. I still wants to hang out, not just being jiu-jitsu because the athletes like jiu-jitsu, it's not like a popular, like actually like back the time was very criminal. Like people look into you as a jiu-jitsu and they say, "Oh man, you guys in the newspaper every time, like as you fight in the street," and it wasn't us, you know. I actually like back in the time there are a lot of respect. So jiu-jitsu fight, they fight inside the academy to don't fight in the street, but there is a misunderstanding, and the media was selling jiu-jitsu athletes as a danger, as a gangsters back in my time. So we didn't have the good look that we had before with all UFC and MMA getting popular in US.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, as I'm listening to you, what an interesting life, what an interesting path. You start thinking you're going to kung fu, that doesn't work out. You get beat up by a girl, that doesn't work out. You have a tough conversation with your father. You start working at the academy as a purple belt, and then, kind of life goes into this interesting direction where you starting to make impact,
Yeah.
you starting to perform, you starting to be visible, you starting to win, and all of this leads into you having one of the largest teams to exist today. At which point of time you think, I'm going to do this for living, like I don't have to do anything else, this
Oh,
is jiu-jitsu life?
honestly, Thomas, look, I I I really didn't know if jiu-jitsu was the like even when I was a black belt, you know. So jiu-jitsu opened opportunities for me. I went to the college. I make my college for physical therapy. So I I did it with physical therapy for a couple of years as a work, but I was some already black belt, like a high competitor. So the physical therapy was good that I met my wife during the college. So but the thing is, like, I didn't know that jiu-jitsu was all my life for until very late. I do knew it that whatever I do in my life, it's about helping others. That was my commitment, you know. So I grew up looking my parents helping a lot of people. I grew up learning how to share my things, even when I don't have enough, how to share and how to be a good person or how to help others. So I grew up like, and I, all my reading, all my like my spiritual patch was the same as my sport. So I was always the same time I want to train in jiu-jitsu. I was very I have so many questions about what I'm doing here. Why am I born? So what I'm doing in my life? What's the purpose of my life? Who am I? So I have some questions that my parents couldn't answer. I have some parents that not every I went to different religion or churches. Not everyone was know the answer. And then I was reading the Bible. I learned how to answer my own questions. And then it was very early when I understand that whatever I do, that I was to helping others. You know, so whatever I have was to be sharing with others. So I learned this since I was a kid. So beginning, I was my goal was be a fighter, and then I wants to be a military, and then I wants to be a police, and I end up being doing jiu-jitsu because I have this mindset to always to be helping others, and but honestly, jiu-jitsu was the way that give voice for myself. I was very shy kid with a lot of fears, a lot of traumas, a lot of worries about the life, a lot of questions, and I went to different sports. Jiu-jitsu was the one that gave voice for me to be by myself, to express all my uh, personality. You know, jiu-jitsu was the one that gave voice to do what I want to do, and and it was through jiu-jitsu that I was able to help people. I was able to connect me with a different, you know, uh, uh, connect with different people, groups, social groups, and use the jiu-jitsu to connect me with them and be able to help others the same way that jiu-jitsu helped me. So I think that these that's since I was a kid, I had this desire and I knew it very clear that I want to, whatever I do, I want to do to help others. And jiu-jitsu, even when jiu-jitsu was part of all my life, there was 2-3 situations that I thought that I would stop, and I didn't stop. And because I didn't stop, I knew it that okay, so those are that has to be through jiu-jitsu that are gonna be my purpose of my life. It's through jiu-jitsu.
Tell me about one of those moments. You said there were 3 moments where you wanted to stop.
Yeah. The first moment was like when I was a kid. Like as a kid, you want to do what all your friends does. You want to quit jiu-jitsu because I want to surfing, I want to go to the beach, I want to go to the nightclub, I want to be a regular teenager. Jiu-jitsu wasn't fun. Was fun, but wasn't like a popular sport back in my time. Wasn't like all my friends doesn't do jiu-jitsu. So I want to be with them and take 1 hour from my day with jiu-jitsu. It's take me 1 hour from be with them in the beach. It's be 1 hour from them in video games. It's be 1 hour from them to ride a bike. So I want to be a kid. I want to do what my friends does. And my parents say, no, you don't. So every day that you miss jiu-jitsu, you're gonna be 2 days without go outside. And then okay. I
go they put it down. Okay.
So then I didn't quit, and I didn't have maturity. I was a young kid. I didn't have maturity to understand how this, not about changing my life, but how the jiu-jitsu, it's a very like important to me during my social skills in the street later on. So my second time that I wanted to quit was when I moved to São Paulo. So I moved to São Paulo to work with Fábio Gurgel. So the reason why was Jacaré, he moved to Atlanta. I was a brown belt. So he gave me the black belt. This was in '96. He gave me the black belt, and he back to Atlanta again. So I was already running the school. So I moved to São Paulo to work with Fábio Gurgel because he didn't have an instructor. He have an open spot to a new instructor. So he hired me to go over there to teach. I went there as a black belt, but I was 20 years old, 21 years old. I was on top of my career. I was 2 years a black belt. So I want to compete. I don't want to just teach. I'm okay. I love to teach, but I want to compete as much as possible. And in São Paulo, they didn't have like a competitive team. So they didn't have. So there had Fábio has a lot of students, but not really big competitors. So I was the one that have be traveling so much. Every weekend, I'll be traveling back to Rio, which is 5 hours driving to training my weekend. And then drive back Monday to Thursday, and then drive Friday. So training Friday, starting Sunday, back Monday to compete, to teach jiu-jitsu. So I was making my weekend training jiu-jitsu for almost 2 years. And then I decided and then with 2 years, I already started to get better financial. I rent a big house close to the gym. And then because I have a big house, I bring 2 friends. I brought Tererê and I brought Léo Negão. Two strong guys. They wasn't black belt. They was purple belt. So Tererê was black belt, purple belt, lightweight, playing guard, very good guard, young, phenomenal purple belt. Léo Negão was a Carson Grace student, big, strong guy, like a top 10, very Carson Grace type. So that will help me because I think honestly, I was the one that invented the training camp, because I make my own camp, a competition camp. I brought one light guard player for giving me speed and play guard, and I brought one very heavy, strong guy to give me power and smash me. Both purple belt. So and that's when I developed, and then because I was the head instructor from Fábio Gurgel in his school, I developed the competition, the club. And that's when Damian Mai started training jiu-jitsu as a white belt. Also, sometimes most of the time leaving my apartment, my house. So Tarsis Humphrey was a very kid. He was a yellow belt kid that he grew up. So we have a lot. But with those two guys, Leo Negão and Tererê, I have a very decent, good training because otherwise was only Fábio Gurgel. But Fábio Gurgel was super busy. He was not training very often, all my class, all my training. And I was the head coach, teaching all the school, all the class. So there is a lot of the instructor, but not competitive, very competitive level. So, and that's give us a lot of friendship, right? But when these alliance break, was a huge break, you know. So because when the alliance break, you know, and the way the break that I saw, the way that it breaks hurt so much me, you know, that I say, I'll quit because I get so disappointed with Tererê. I get so disappointed with Fábio Gurgel, and I get so disappointed even with my professor. You know, I get so disappointed with Jacaré that I say I'll quit jiu-jitsu. At that point, I was already like physical therapy. I say I have a grade. I graduated from physical therapy. I can work for physical therapy. I don't have to deal with these people anymore. You know. But then the reality, like, you know, I think God, you know, God, like he always was very close to me. Or, you know, like even when I even deserve, he was very close to me. And in those very moments, he always like was very clear. Like I'm not hearing his voice, but it was very clear to me what I have to do. And like, and then like I knew that I was saying, look, the position you are now, like I knew that okay, the position you are now is to have your own like school, right? So then I noticed that I couldn't quit jiu-jitsu because whatever I face, whatever I choose to work, we're gonna find people that move the same way. We're gonna find people like well, good people and bad people in anything that you do. You can be physical therapy, you can be police, you can be in jiu-jitsu. You're gonna find good and bad people everywhere. But because I already have a history in jiu-jitsu and because I look to some of my students and I have some students that I knew that they can throw they throw themselves in the bullet for me. So I knew that I can quit, you know. So that was the reason that I keep and then I stay with the jiu-jitsu and I choose to be the professor, you know. And that was like so though that was the other like side break.
Is it? I feel like sometimes the friendships that we create in jiu-jitsu, they become so strong when those life events happen and those friendships get challenged. It is really painful on the inside. And I've been in these situations and it's like, but I feel like that doesn't happen everywhere. That happens in jiu-jitsu mostly, at least in my opinion.
It's because of the community.
But why do we develop such a strong bond? And when those life events happen, it is so hurtful inside.
You know, like I don't know. I think because we share. Like I don't think we in jiu-jitsu we don't separate like a business and life. I think in jiu-jitsu it's so much your life that there's no like business and life. So you treat everybody as your family member, as your life. So like I think and you share everything. You make the jiu-jitsu students your training partner has like intimacy with you. So when you let somebody, because we don't get mad, people say something that people that not that close to you. So only hurts for those that you give your intimacy. So for those that you very close, right? And I think jiu-jitsu is one thing that because the people training with us, like we share so much confidential things. We share so much things in our life, you know. We share, and they see how you overcome those situations. So, and you help them. Sometimes you're the one that be helped. Sometimes you're the one that help. So it's a boundary that create because we help each other overcome different situations. You know, it's like a family. So sometimes we have our problems, but we expect in the end we have the same goals to stick together. There are
Yeah.
no ego. There are no just just for myself. It's always about we, you know. And then when have this rupture, you know, it's and they're like, it's like, oh my God, I don't expect. It's like a hurt because a part of your body died. It's like you lost a family member. You know, it hurts pretty bad. You know, so like it's hate. I hate to have this feeling because it's like it's somebody you die, somebody that you love that died. You know,
Yeah.
so I think that's the reason, you know. And those was the circumstance that sometimes take me to reflections, to thinking, stop to do what I'm doing because maybe that's because of the frustration. And that's when you start also learn how to how to how to put how to organize, you know, like a friendship, how to organize this environment. It's not everybody has to have access to your life there as a deep as everybody does, you know. But I think those was the situation that take people over, like thinking and have these frustration situations.
But that has to be hard for many instructors because one, we want to be private, but at the same time, everyone wants to be talking to us, right? Everybody wants access to you,
Mhm.
and like creating these separations. I mean, it has to be difficult, isn't it?
Yes, it's like I said, it's painful. I think the
Mhm.
first one is painful. It's like I think like make a joke, but I just think like your first love. You know, you love, you engage in love, and then she broke your heart, and then you wanna kill yourself. But you're not gonna die. It's gonna hurt for a longer time. You know, like you're gonna be, you know, like maybe you're gonna remind her name all your life, but it's not gonna hurt later on anymore. You know, so you're gonna learn
Yeah.
how to, okay, it's not hurt anymore. But it was a process that was important to you pass through. So, you know, like my first love was stated there. What happens, like what I wasn't expect what he did to me, I wasn't expect, you know, and there was stuff to accept. But
Yeah.
when I accept and I forgive and we went through, so was like more easy to those that happen later, you know,
Yeah.
because now it's kind of like you know uh that happens, but the first one because you wouldn't expect. Later on, it's not that you expect, but you know, you also you start knowing like how uh to organize people in your life, you know,
Yeah.
and you don't misunderstand like like places and what people should be in your life.
No, you're right, 100%. You know what's interesting about all of this? I'm listening to you, and you
uh
talk about Demian Maya being a white belt, Terere being a purple belt. Like you dropping names of the best of the best of the best that are out there, you
uh
know, and some of the, I mean, Terere, one of the best guard passers ever. I mean, Demian Maya, pioneer of MMA, and you're like, yeah, they were white belts. Yeah, they're purple belts, you know. And, I mean, it has to feel good to be witnessing all
yeah,
these guys growing,
yeah,
right? Because they have grown to who they are today and what they represent,
yeah.
right? And you were there.
Yes, yes, I was there. I saw those is some of the example, but I saw, so be able to be a black belt since '96 and be able to be very high level competitor, young age, traveling, helping to develop the sport, training athletes, competing with them. So give me not just see or read about the story, but I live the story that grow up, that make a lot of change in my in the sports. So it's nice, you know, like it's very nice because I was a witness to see how they be changing, you know, and how they also build the story, you know, sometimes together, sometimes by themselves. But I saw how they start and how they change the course of the jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's the phenomenal
Who's
part.
been the biggest who left the biggest impression?
The biggest impression, but like that's what a positive impression, negative impression.
I think positive, or maybe even who you saw change the most through their journey that has really left an impression on you, or something that when you reflect on it, it's impressive.
Like I saw like a, because when you like Comprido, how do you because I already spoke, it's like, oh, I'll bring another name. That's the one that impressed me a lot, because I met him since I was a kid, so before Jiu-Jitsu. So we grew up together, and he was the guy has like no talent for Jiu-Jitsu, like he was those clumsy boys in the gym. They're very
Can I text him that right now?
We had him. We had him on the show, and he talked about it, how clumsy he was.
I don't know if he was too young, but too tall or too flexible, like a very weird jiu-jitsu, But like his mind and his desire to be one of the best make he be who he became, And I saw like this friend, you know, uh, as a white belt become a blue belt and purple belt, brown belt, and when became a black belt, became one of the biggest name in the sport, became one of the biggest name in the open class, breaking record as a fast submission and became one of the most strategy coach that I had. So in that he was kind of my friend, more my friend than my student, but my friend and lower belt. But sometimes he was in my corner, give me strategy, tell me what to do in some of my fights, and so that's why so see the power of the way he see jiu-jitsu and the organize and strategy wise he he knew it like you can be not the most like a talent, but hard work and strategy can take you to the to do things that people are not going to do.
Just now, you're talking about Comprido helping you helping him. Earlier, you talked about just being very helpful as a part of your mission in your life.
Yeah.
Is that one of the things that every instructor should have, as
Yep.
this ability to be helpful?
Yeah, that's why like those boundaries that we create, we don't do nothing by ourselves. Like you need like one, two friends. You need friends that's gonna be commitment, same commitment as you. You need people that's gonna go. You can call. Okay, let's go run, or let's go swimming, let's go train, let's go drill, let's do this. And you guys have to have the same goals. And you guys have the same lifestyle. So if you have the same goals, but one party, the other guy does not party, it's not going to work because he's not going to handle the same training how you want to. So you need to find people who has the same goals and same lifestyle as you. And Cupido was one of these because we was going to parties, but we decide ourselves as a friend and as a commitment to do what we want to, that we're not going to use drugs, that we're going to drink sometimes, but not never gonna be touching drugs. You're gonna be whatever, even when the days that the nightclubs that you go to drink, next day we're gonna run, we're gonna training, we're gonna drill, we're gonna do whatever we have to do. And that's what we're doing. We're gonna go into parties, we're going to like holidays, traveling from Carnival, New Year's, different like holidays. But every day we was training. Every day was committing yourself and to do things that we must to do. Drinking or not drinking the night before, And it was very commitment to one take care of the other, and that's what you learn jiu-jitsu. It's like those special force, police or Navy SEALs. Those make us be special than others. Not like what you can do, but how much you can trust in your partner. So that's why the boundaries they create is big. So Cumprido nowadays have his own team, his own academy, but the friendship we develop like he's my brother for life. If he need me today, I fly right now without doubt to see him. And I know that if I need him, he's gonna do the same thing for me.
Do you think the same commitment exists today for the younger generations, the ones who are, black belts now, or maybe not even black belts, maybe are color belts, but they are just coming up and training for competitions and so on?
Yeah, I see. I see in my gym so much. I see kids that they're gonna be like, they throw, like I said, they throw the bullet for their friends. I see like how, and that's we do. You see Boucher and Leandro Law
Mm,
before it happened with, you know,
yeah.
with Leandro. It's like you see how they're not even the same team, but you see how their friendship was taking them to training together, to be together, and to fight each other. Like how crazy is this? So yeah, so the jiu-jitsu still, like, you still need people to create boundaries. And most of the time you have those boundaries, your group of friends, and sometimes you have in the other club. That's the beautiful jiu-jitsu. Like it's you have that is people with those uh heart that are, and it's nice. That's the beauty. That's what I like in jiu-jitsu.
So then younger generations are coming up now. You've been on the mat for so long. You have well-established business, well-established team now. Talk to me, what is the biggest thing? What is the biggest item that sets a successful team apart from everybody else? What makes it so successful?
Like when I built Checkmat, so well, I have to back a little bit in the story. We was Alliance. I was Alliance before. Actually before Alliance, I was Jacaré. So I grew up with Jacaré, I mean, he's on, So I saw his black belts, Fábio Gurgel, Alexandre Paiva, Roberto Ivan, everybody leaving Jacaré and open their own school. And I saw there no reason why for people compete each other. And then they decide to make one team. But also there is some people was not belong from Jacaré. Was I think I was Silvio Bering and also Costello Branco, Vini Campello, other guys that wasn't belong to Jacaré. And they decided to create one team called Alliance. Was Jacaré black belt students, also some other friends. So they create one team called Alliance. So in the Alliance, I saw how Alliance was organized. And then before we broke from Alliance, so Alliance became uh very like a one man power, like it became a dictator. So there no like one person tells what everybody has to do, if and the end was not fair. What with others, and that's what take the team to break. So when the team break, so we create Brasa. Brasa was the opposite side. Brasa was seven black belts running the team. So we came from extreme left to extreme right,
Mm-hmm.
and then like we had the same issues because everything had to go through everybody. So and then the end you have like half the team working for half other not working, and then like the different ideas was changing, and then like that's when I decide open Checkmat. So I say, guys, look, I'm gonna open Checkmat. I really at that point I knew that cannot be the extreme left, cannot be the extreme right. It has to be something in the middle, sometimes to the left, sometimes to the right, but something in the gray area that's gonna be managed the team. So I didn't know how to build a Checkmat. I didn't know what kind of leadership I want to be, but I knew what I don't want to be, and then like that's what bring me more close to God because I was a very lost in about what to do, and about how to do it. That every time that in my life, since I was a kid, when I get so anxiety, when I don't know what to do, I usually I don't ask people. I go to read the Bible to find people that face the same thing that I'm facing and see what they did. And the funny because the Bible is there are a lot of full of stories about people who facing a lot of different stuffs and they overcoming, and you can see like that answer for you. So that's the reason that I learned science that I was a kid. To every question that I have, okay, go read the Bible and find. So I started finding my answer by myself in the Bible. So and that was the very good point, because I was like, I don't know what to do. And then I started reading, and then it's like, again, very clear to me, how do I have to manage the checkmate? And then I say, and then I understand that the idea to manage the checkmate is building the concept that was building by how the gospel was spread. So the team has to be something that not belongs to one person, has to be something that give a voice, help others, help each other, help the helping the others. And then like we build the checkmat, use the concept of the like all the how the gospel was spread, how they like those are the principles that was the principle that was building to like how to you know uh to managing the school and managing the team. And more that I was like managing the team, all my answer was coming from those reading. So especially in like the books of all the letters that Paul has to be writing for the church. So that's fully with a lot of advertising and a lot of suggestion. It's a lot of how to build a community, how to you help people, how to you, and those was the concepts that I will use to build a checkmate. The way you listen people, the way you make decision in your life, the way the professor should be the example for his community, the way that he should be creating the environment, the way he should be teaching, the way you have also organized as academy. So we have a professor, people performance as an athlete, uh, people own schools, they're going to be teaching jiu-jitsu to the students. Also others doesn't want to teach jiu-jitsu. They want to compete, they want to teach only seminars. So it's like the gospel. You have the missionary that wants to spread the gospel and come back. You have a pastor that wants to be responsible to take care of people. So and it's a different ministry, it's a different vocational. So the idea with I just use the copy and paste from the from the gospel and the church and how they organize to the and apply for the jiu-jitsu and community and the professor and students.
I mean, what a brilliant way of converting that, right? Not only your personal life into what is successful today, but clearly it's successful since you have built this great team, very cohesive team that is willing to help everybody. And I think that is oftentimes what's missing in jiu-jitsu. And we talked about this at the beginning. Today, I feel like a lot of, especially competitors, are all about me, 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 me. Where's the money? How do I make the money? But this cohesive idea of community, well, it's not always there. I think it is there. That's what's beautiful about jiu-jitsu, but it's not always there. Would you agree?
No, I totally agree. And if you see, like, and I totally understand that the competitor has to be me, me, me. But the me, me, me cannot be like over than we.
Yeah.
So because if you're back in the scripture, if you're back to the God, so the way the disciple was like managing like all the resource, people was giving to them, and they was sharing according with the needs, like so like that is like some people gonna need more, some others less, but there is a trust. When there is a trust between the athlete and the professor, there no me, me, me. Because I have a good example with Lucas Leite. Lucas Leite was signed up for, he was a one competition, and in this competition, so the referees was such a bad referees back in the time. And then I stopped the competition and I said, look, if these rules not change from tomorrow, so my athlete is not going to compete, because it's not fair. And then I told Lucas, okay, Lucas, you're not going to compete. And Lucas he gave up from his final. He gave up from the final to make sure that we have a voice to everybody else be able to compete in the fair rules. So and Lucas was one of my top athletes.
Mm-hmm.
So the competition came to talk to me and say, Leo, I don't believe they're calling Lucas to fight the final. I say, Lucas not gonna fight the final until we talk about the rules, because the rules say one thing and you guys making something different. It's not fair, you know. So Lucas could tell me, like, Leo, I'll fight. After my fight, you can do whatever you want, but I want to fight. That's the world competition that I have been training for. I will do it, you know. So Lucas have the right to say. He didn't say anything. Lucas just look at me and say, Leo, you do whatever you want. I'm your. So when there is a trust between the high level competitor with the coach, he knows that the coach is gonna take his side. You know, that's the point. Like me as a coach, who was a leader of Checkmat, I don't take the side of my side. I take their side. I've been looking for what's the best for my athletes, and they know this. Because they know this, they give me that confidence. They give me that his power. So when I can make decision over my athletes to do things that sometimes can look weird, they know maybe I don't understand, Leo, but I know that at the end of the day, you know what you're doing, and it will be the best for me, you know. But I want this relationship, it's not that know this relationship, maybe because the students, maybe because the student has too much ego that he don't see we, or
Yeah.
maybe the coach is the one that have so much me and not we. So then when that disconnection, that the trust doesn't have. But when there is a trust between the student and the coach, you're gonna see like this commitment.
Well, and it's a two-way street, right? Just like coach is
Yeah,
supposed to motivate and discipline and support the student,
yeah,
the student has to entrust into the coach or
yeah.
instructor in order for them to be guided correctly. And when that two-way street doesn't exist, it's very difficult to make that
Exactly.
work. It's
And
just
that's
and we
why.
and we see
And
that in jiu-jitsu and in MMA, all the other sports actually, matter
yeah,
of fact, like anywhere,
It's
football, basketball,
it's,
everywhere, like it's
it's,
two-way
it's,
street.
it's a two ways, and that's why that I have no problem to deal with the breaks or the athletes that leave my school or my team to open their own team, because I knew it that there are no we. Everybody who left, there are no we. There's only me. So that's
Yeah.
why I was telling everybody, I said, look, I'm not worried about who left him, because they didn't understand the meaning of we. So they only know it's me. So it's not a problem.
Yeah. What a phenomenal way to think about all this. Listen, we've been at this for over an hour, but before we finish,
Okay.
what we do at the end of every episode, we have a question for you from a previous guest.
Okay.
Person who was on the show right before you asked a question, but they didn't know that you're going to answer this. They asked you completely in blind. And this is actually interesting because you know that person. So, yeah, it is interesting. Gary's going to take a lead on this.
Patty Fontes wants to know. There's your smile.
We
Yeah.
did it. This is unplanned. We didn't plan this. It just so it happened that she was before you.
Yeah, and it's funny. She didn't know it was you, so it's a very simplistic question.
Yeah.
And we even touched on a lot of it already. But she wants to know: has jiu-jitsu changed your life, and how?
Well, I'll change this a little bit. What was the one thing that jiu-jitsu changed in your life that without which you would, who knows where you would be? One thing, the biggest change.
Yeah, the biggest change was balance in my life. That's the huge change, because making the short answer a longer answer, it's like jiu-jitsu helped me to, like, the moments that I'm overthinking in life, bring me peace. In the moment that I'm too calm or relaxed and lazy, give me, put me in the status of alert. So jiu-jitsu give me my balance, and that's what I see in everybody who jump on the mat. it's a balance in their life too. So that's what jiu-jitsu represents for me.
I love it. I love it. Before we finish, where can people find you? If anybody wants to connect with you, are you available online, websites? I mean, you're pretty famous, but still, if somebody was living under the rock, where's Professor Vieira?
So easy to find me. Like if you access on my Instagram, which is at Leo Vieira BJJ, I'm there. It's me. It's not somebody else. No. If you and that's the funny. If you click in the phone from over there, it's my personal phone. I'm such like a old school, but I like to be in touch and talk to people. I like to look in the eyes, and that's I think is the jiu-jitsu is help us to be present. So like you cannot train in jiu-jitsu and think in the past or think in the future, thinking what you're gonna do, what you're gonna eat later. You have to make decision the consequence all the time. So you have to be present. So this lifestyle to be present also help me to even my online connections be present and and be there, when people expect. So just drop message, I'm there. So I live in Seal Beach. I'm all around here surfing in Seal Beach, training jiu-jitsu in Long Beach and also in Seal Beach. I have 2 local schools. So, and I'm here.
We appreciate you being here. What a phenomenal life story. And I do have to say, thank you for doing everything you do. Because like I said, when I was a white belt and blue belt, your name was all over everything that I was doing. So I look up to you in some sense.
Thanks.
So I do appreciate for everything that you have done. Gary?
Yeah, early in the episode, we talked a little bit about like the social media and the people who talk too much and the people who don't. And balance came up, and it came up at the end too. And I want to say thank you because I think that the way you handle things and the way what you promote, what you put out there is going to help us find that balance so that we're not going to go too far one way or the other. So I really appreciate it. And thank you for your time today.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for your guys' work and job and like that. It's amazing, like a platform to spread the jiu-jitsu. And like I say, you can go to any place in the world as a one click. So it's really nice to be here, sharing my life, sharing my ideas with you guys, and look forward to see you again.
Okay,
Beautiful.
outstanding. Let's end this conversation for today. Thanks for having you here, and have a good one.
All right, peace.
Thank you for listening to RŌL Radio. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to leave us a review and help us make the show even more amazing. For future episodes, check out our website and follow us on all major podcast platforms. Take care.